Hey YouTube, welcome to the channel. My name is Rich. Name of the channel is Rich the Return Rider. Today we are out for some throttle therapy and I am on Susie, the 2012 Suzuki Boulevard M109r. So today folks, we are expecting a storm coming through this area. It's probably about a little past 10 o'clock. And expecting a pretty bad weekend here in Lake City, Florida. So the goal is to get out, get a little bit of throttle therapy and some wind therapy in before this weather comes through and make this my last ride for the weekend. This is actually July, and man, I'm just fiending to get out and ride, even though we're experiencing some pretty hot weather here in this area. But yeah, gonna run some errands, kind of kill two birds with one stone, as you'll say it. Gonna do a video here and also get a ride in. So what we're going to be talking about today, folks, is I have met my second co-worker that have expressed being afraid of riding on the highway. Now, she has been riding for years. I think she rides some kind of, I think a Harley Davidson Heritage. She is afraid of riding on the highway. Recently, back road also with another co-worker of mine, getting back into riding, also experienced, and I didn't know this, but we rode quite a bit down to Daytona from Gainesville, and we rode all of the back roads, and finally when we jumped into 95, going to Harley Davidson, he expressed that he don't like riding on the highways. Now, I gotta tell you folks, I can relate to that to some degree when I got back into riding. But shortly after, realized that we are probably safer riding on the highways and byways than, well, on the highways, than riding in the city limits. So that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about in this video. I am testing out here a mic on this bike. This is actually the Purple Panda. The other mic got some damage to it, so I purchased this one and was curious to see or to hear what it sounds like. And, you know, that everything is okay. I mean, usually on the Gold Wing with the windshield, a lot of the wind and so forth is buffeted, so I usually get pretty decent audio. But anyway, you guys let me know if the audio was pretty decent. Pipes on this motorcycle also, you know, might also hamper that a little. But yeah, so let's get to the topic, man. Riding on the highways. Now, when I started riding motorcycles, I learned to ride back in the Washington, Maryland, DC area. And don't remember being afraid back then, you know, probably too young, and you know they got a saying, young, dumb, and full of you know what, to realize the dangers that you might be facing back in those days. But 20 years later, folks, we have more concerns and we're safer, or we try to be safer today than we probably would have been as a youngster. But yeah, 55 miles an hour, that double nickel back in those days on that beltway, definitely don't feel like we are going at the speeds that we are going at today. Now today, I think that road, the beltway is 70 miles an hour highway, and that's most of the highways around here. And a lot of times we are going 10 miles over the speed limit, you know, what we think is our allotted buffer. We traveling a little bit over the speed limit, and there seems to be a big difference between going 55 and 65 than 70 or 80 miles an hour that we're all going at today. So I could only envision that the speed is one of the intimidating factors on riding on the highways. Now when I got back into riding, guys, the motorcycle that I purchased is this 2012 Suzuki that I'm on. Pretty much of an intimidating motorcycle getting back into riding. 125 horsepower, 118 foot-pounds of torque, almost 800 pounds, twitchy throttle. You know, I felt like I was starting to, or learning to ride all over again. And watching the likes of MC Rider, you guys, I'm a big fan of a couple of these YouTubers. They're not any mojo folks. They're folks that are riding coaches, motorcycle riding instructors, and lots of awesome information on riding motorcycles. So one of the things that was recommended is start riding like you're starting from scratch. And one of the things that was suggested when it came to highway riding is to get on the highways and go one exit at a time. Today, you might want to ride, get on the highway, see what it feels like, and go to one exit. Next time, you might want to do 2 or 3 exits just to see and acclimate yourself to the difference of speeds of riding in the highways as opposed to riding in the cities. But one of the things that I'm going to continuously talk about is something that I prioritize. And I'm not an expert, folks. I'm bringing information to you guys as I learn it. And believe me, I learned so much, not only from YouTube, but in the comment sections about, you know, things to do and things not to do on these motorcycles. And you guys are informative. So it's more than anything, you know, I'm always going to say subscribe to the channel, but I just love it when folks comment and they're giving information. But yeah, anyway, now what they're all going to tell you, and I do feel that way today, is you are probably safer on highways than you are riding through the city limits. Get in parking lots and build your confidence with the motorcycle. And one of the things that I think we all should be prioritizing is emergency braking and braking and swerving. Now, my 2 co-workers are in the same boat that I am in when it comes to the type of motorcycles that they own. They're both on cruisers, one on the C90, the other one I think is on a Heritage. Older bikes. And none of these bikes have ABS brakes. Makes it a little bit more important, or I'm going to say it makes it important to make sure that we know how to stop these bikes as quick as possible. And there's so much more that's intertwined with that, or that is part of that, than just being able to stop the bike, stopping the bike, downshifting, making sure you're in the right gear. Just as importantly, man, checking behind you, living in those mirrors just to see who's behind you. But what I think is awesome about riding on the highways, guys, is I jump on the highway up here. I'm going to talk a little bit more about why I love riding on the highway so much, as opposed to, I also love these back roads. As you can see here, guys, I'm on this 2-lane road. You know, I'm always conscious of what is in the woods and what could be running out. Anyone that might be coming the opposite direction and crossing over that divider. You know, folks fall asleep, folks are drinking, or whatever the situation is. You know, but if we are seeing things and we don't know how to react to them, it's dangerous. We are putting ourselves in situations. Now, folks, we are getting ready to experience a little bit of rain here. I'm gonna still continue to do this video here, but yeah, The option here, if I had to brake, I'm seeing there's a truck behind me, there's a truck in front of me. I hate riding behind pickup trucks. It's one of the things that I try to avoid. So what I'm going to do in a situation like this is I'm going to give myself a little bit more space from that truck that's up ahead. But I also have 3 different lanes here that I can react to. But you see that shoulder on the side of the road there? That's a big deal for me. Let's jump on. We're gonna jump on I-10 here, folks. We're gonna head west. And instead of taking the ride that I was about to take, it's because of the rain coming. And it's not the rain, folks. It's the lightning and thunder as we're expecting here. But yeah. So being able to use that shoulder is a big deal. So yeah, always the opportunity to flex the muscle on the M109R. One of my pet peeves is, like, you see that truck just move over to give me some road to exit on. And one of my pet peeves is watching folks get on the highways and not getting themselves up to speeds. We're cruising here. We're at about 78 miles an hour. Now, if the truck man didn't move over, I was going to actually slow down. Even if I had to use that shoulder on the right. But guys, we have so much more options out here than I believe we have in the city limits. So as this truck guy is going to try to pass me here, I'm going to move myself over the lane here. Give him some space. He's probably a little pissed off that I got on the highway here. But sometimes, folks, it's better that we're a little, I don't want to say aggressive, but we're a little assertive while we are on these bikes, as opposed to being passive. I think that's just part of the safety of it. And I know folks out there that see us accelerating or decelerating or maybe changing lanes might consider it to be reckless. I don't see it as reckless. I see it as assertive riding. And, you know, it's one of the things that we might have to do out here to stay safe. But one of the things that I realized on the highways is, and this being explained by the pros, not me, is we have a lot less to be concerned about out here than we do riding in the city limits. So right now I'm at 75 miles an hour. I can still feel the wind, you know, which was one of the intimidating factors when I first jumped on the highway to do the exit-to-exit runs. But I'm going to get to that in a little bit here. But riding in the city, we are exposed to folks coming out of driveways. We are exposed to crosswalks. We are exposed to stop signs and maybe someone running a stop sign. We are exposed to lights. In my case out here in the country, I am exposed to dogs. You know, as we talk about doing these parking lot drills and so forth, guys, I have encountered situations where I was riding in an area and I can see dogs up ahead of me and was never chased by any, except for in my subdivision, and had to make a U-turn to be able to escape that dog. So yeah, a lot of the training that I do in parking lots do come into play. But let's talk again about being on the highways here. I'm getting ready to get off of I-10 and I'm going to be jumping on 75, heading towards Gainesville. That's that Tampa exit that you're looking at up ahead there. Again, always checking my mirrors. I try to stay on the outside lane here of the lane position that I'm in. again, guys, another important factor. If you look at the lanes here, or the lane that you're in, that lane position, a lot of times you're going to realize that the middle of the lane seems a little darker than the outer skirts of the lane. And what is recommended is that we stay to either one side of the lane or the other side of the lane, unless, you know, we have a reason to move over a little. But yeah, the other advantage out here, man, is as we are in these lanes, we have 3 different positions that we can ride in. Again, getting the bike up to speed. Woo! Got to love the power of the M109r. Alright, we're going a little above 80 miles an hour there. We're going to back it down a little, and we're going to get into the right lane. The middle lane is one of the lanes that I don't like to be in, because I feel I have to look for a lot more as I'm in that lane. Whereas if I'm in the right lane or the left lane, I have another awesome thing, folks. We got 3 lanes here, and in those 3 lanes, we got 3, 6, 9. We got 9 positions here that we could be in on this highway. On 75, not usually a lot of traffic unless there's a holiday. So again, we got certain options. You know, the DC, Virginia, and Maryland area, I don't ever remember those roads being this open. And as I have visited up there in the last couple of years, that place has gotten a little bit more crowded. So again, I'm a little blessed to be living in an area where it's a low traffic area. Not a lot of distractions out here, folks, but yeah, there's traffic coming up here to the left of me, so I'm going to take and give them a little bit more space here as I move over to the right. And in the event that I had to stop this bike in an emergency, I also have the shoulder here that is a runoff. Right now I'm cruising at 75. As you guys can see, all the traffic is still passing me. If I'm put in a position where I have to speed up, in the event I'm behind a truck or some kind of SUV, pickup truck, I'm going to go over a little left here for the traffic that is pulled over on the side. There's so much more control of riding on the highways, man, and that's one of the points that I want to make. You know, as I get out here and I'm cruising on the beast, this is way more relaxing than riding in the city limits. So the fears of riding on the highway, guys, might be the speed. Let me add one thing that I thought was a game changer. And all 3 of us that I was referring to earlier, me, my co-workers, ride bikes that don't come with windshields. Now, I often hear folks say, don't put a windshield on the bike, it changed the aesthetics, don't put a sissy bar. Guys, most, if not all of the stuff that I put on my motorcycle need to be functional. For that idea that the bike don't look cool, or you don't look cool with the bike when you alter it, guys, let me share something with you. Folks that don't ride motorcycles don't think any of us look cool on a motorcycle. What is cool is being able to get back home to your family that's concerned about you, or concerned about us riding motorcycles as safe as possible. And on this channel, folks, I know I'm not the safety police or anything, but I'm always going to be talking about stuff that I think makes me a little safer. Adding a windshield, and I know one of my co-workers have already added windshield to his C90. I haven't spoken to him since he's added the windshield on how he feels riding. But when I first got on the motorcycle and I got on the highway and I felt all of the wind that was hitting me not only in my helmet but in my chest, it made the bike feel a little bit unstable. The first thing that I added to this motorcycle was, I think that is called an Airstream, or I forgot the hell. I'm going to put it here in the video above what that windshield is. But once I added the windshield to the motorcycle, it was a game changer. Now, as low as that windshield is, it is built in a way that it deflects air up, and it did make a big difference on riding the motorcycle when I added the windshield. So I'm going to suggest that anyone that's concerned about riding on the highway and the motorcycle feels unstable, with the wind hitting you at certain speeds, it will also make you feel like you're going way faster than you are. So add a windshield to the motorcycle. I honestly think the windshield and the sissy bar makes this motorcycle, I hated the way the back of the motorcycle looked. I think the windshield and the sissy bar make the motorcycle look way better than it did. But more than anything else, it's functional. And that's priority, guys. That the motorcycle is functional and safe. So yeah, to that young lady that is riding that Heritage, if you don't have a windshield on the motorcycle, add a windshield on the motorcycle, get on the highway, go through the steps and see what it feels like. As far as the sissy bar, my wife was going to be riding on the motorcycle before we bought the Goldwing, and the sissy bar was for her to be comfortable. And in all honesty, it's a great thing for me to be able to add a bag or something like that while I'm trying to carry the necessities. You know, again, stuff like, let's get off here. Look like the weather's going to be coming a little bit quicker than I expected it to. So I'm going to head back home. Yeah, the sissy bar serves a great purpose, man. I can carry some tools in there. I can carry my tire patch kit. I got also a little air compressor, so in the event of an emergency I have access to some tools. But yeah, folks, you know, don't be afraid of it, man. Get out there, practice, follow the steps that you might need to employ to stay safe on the bike, and get out there and ride the highways and byways. But yeah, add a windshield to the bike. Make the bike functional, man. You know. And you know, like I always say in my videos, man, I don't care what you ride, add some protection to the motorcycle. Get out, practice these parking lot drills. The emergency braking and swerving, downshifting. It's better you drop your bike while you're practicing on the concourse or in the parking lot than to crash them out there on the streets, guys. Rich out on Suzy, the 2012 Suzuki Boulevard M109.